VYAPT Global Growth Series has been instrumental in sharing the possibility of growth of various segments of our industry. This helps us to visualize the future through the lenses of our corporate leaders. In each episode, we come up with a growth story to share it with millions across the globe. As various leaders join us to share their narrative, we feel proud to express ourselves to be part of your growth story in VYAPT Global Growth Series. In our growth series today, we have with us Mr. Dilip Rajan, who is the MD at East West Seed India. Mr. Dilip, with 2.7 decades of experience, has been instrumental in his contribution. Welcome to Global Growth Series, Dilip.
Thank you, Pankaj.
Please tell us about East West Seed India.
Yeah, Pankaj, again, thank you so much. As you had said in the outset, I'm pretty honored to be here. The fact that you are looking in these difficult times to talk about how do we reinvigorate not only growth, but also the hope. So specific to your question about East West Seed, we are a global leader in tropical vegetable seed market. We know over 35 years of experience in breeding, producing, and delivering high quality vegetable seeds. Founded by Dr. Simon Groot, who is the winner of the World Food Prize 2019. East West Seed focuses on developing improved vegetable varieties to help smallholder farmers increase their production and incomes. We are also number one on the 2019 Global Access to Seed Index. This is the one that is from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And what it really does is it recognizes the commitment and performance in providing the world's smallholder farmers access to quality seeds. I'm also pleased to inform you, Pankaj, that East West Seed recently ranked in the top 30 of the Fortune's 2020 Change the World list of global companies. In a sense, doing well by doing good. So we're very happy to be in that. Specific to India, we are among the top 5 vegetable seed companies with a goal to become among the top 3 vegetable seed companies in the coming years, driven by market leading growth. So that's the background of East West Seed and India, Pankaj.
Thank you so much, Dilip. So we move on to our curiosity now, and I have my first curiosity here. We are aware of the happenings in the world and businesses in the last 3 quarters now. So wherein we have witnessed a lot of slump in economies. But what are the opportunities, if any, this crisis has created for your industry?
Yeah, no, I think in many ways, agriculture for India's standpoint, and I would say broadly speaking, has been the one true silver lining or bright spot. We have been relatively immune to the ravages of the pandemic. Having said that, the growth opportunities for vegetable seed industry in India, the market estimates primarily on the back of hybridization that this industry size would double from the current levels to around 8,000 crores in the next 5 years. Or in other words, India would require a 35% increase in vegetable production over the next 5 years alone. Now, and I think you brought this into the in the context, this pandemic has brought into sharp focus the need to reorient our food basket. Plant-based nutrition are becoming more sustainable systems of production and consumption from both the environment and the nutrition viewpoint. Now, it is important to note that even before the pandemic, the food supply chain was in transition. The forces are at play are still the same, just that the pandemic has exacerbated a few of them, and I'm going to list a few. Number one, I think it's very obvious that the consumers have signaled their eating habits may change permanently. Some would prefer eating at home, others would eat more vegetables, and some others would say, I want to grow my own food in my home or kitchen garden. What does that mean for seed companies such as ours? Is we will now need to start looking at different product and service innovations, knowledge transfer, and even perhaps our business models. Technology will disrupt our agri-value chains, will drive higher productivity, and create new channels to market. Mm-hmm. And there will be a greater willingness now to engage in digital technology. Mm-hmm. Clearly, the pandemic has shown the immense value of digital tools, and frankly, agriculture cannot be left behind anymore. the systematic application of the digital tools will support the sustainable production and, more importantly, timely supply, especially when the food production and supply involves millions of smallholder farmers, such as India and other markets, in case Africa as well. Now, Pankaj, the fact that we both are doing a Zoom call is social distancing and safety norms are here to stay for some more time. This could lead to reduction in labor density in farming related works, and consequently, I assume more automation in vegetable farming. Mm-hmm. From an India standpoint, I think India will now need to seize this opportunity to increase its production and, more importantly, its exports. To gain wider acceptance of our produce from importing countries, we will now need to adopt newer technologies and practices. Existing policies must be repurposed and infrastructure built to foster this increased exports. Doubling farmers' income, as is the parlance here, will require addressing issues such as access to credit, insurance coverage, post-harvest technology, and investments in agriculture. I'm not sure if you know this, Pankaj, but Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has declared this year, 2021, as the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables. Mm-hmm. So if anything, this is the year that I believe we are right now on what we call as an inflection or a starting block for the fastest technology race in farming history. The combination of big data with cutting-edge science, artificial intelligence, and cloud-connected technology has the true potential to revolutionize our industry. Mm-hmm. Put simply, it must include conservation agriculture, connected agriculture, advanced agronomics, and above all, consumer-driven demands.
So, Dilip, when you talked about different technology mixing up, and you also talked about there going to be a culture wherein it's about my farming, my food. So it's people who are going to talk about or going to have their own farming because of the technology and the things coming up. And you also talked about that earlier the seeds was primarily on the farming, on the large agricultural lands, but now it is going to be a retail chain of seeds which is going to come up, something like this. Do you believe so?
No, but okay. So, Pankaj, I think the opportunity for both the agri industry as abroad and the seed industry is, when you look at India, there are 3 or 4 things that really position ourselves very well, right? Mm-hmm. We continue to have a robust domestic demand, right? And now, hopefully, a global demand as well. We also have an agriculture ecosystem that's beginning to advance and mature. So, as you said, in the olden days, now newer ecosystems are coming up with this new technology. Now, skeptics would argue with me, but there is a policy support as well. We have heard about doubling farmers' income. We're seeing about the export policy, and we're all, going through the throes of the agriculture bills. And lastly, our country has a competitive advantage because it has the diverse agroclimatic conditions, and it has a higher proportion of agri land when you compare to our peer group. So to me, I think when I look at vegetable seeds, Pankaj, it really offers a better economic choice for the smallholder farmer. And India, as you know, 78% of our farmers are smallholder farmers. And it's pure economics. They can get high value crops grown on smaller farms, as a result getting better yields. And I often quote this example, right? 1,000 square meters of land planted with, say, bitter gourd will give the farmer roughly the same income as 1 hectare planted to rice.
My God.
Now, in addition to that, vegetables can be harvested quickly. Within 45 to 55 days, you can get a crop. They can be cultivated throughout the year, which means a farmer can extract anywhere between 3 to 4 crops from a small piece of land to meet the increased demand. And then you're seeing the changes in food consumption. Mm-hmm. And to me, obviously you have to take this with a big grain of salt because I represent vegetable seeds, but this is true. And that is, vegetable farming is really, I call it as a triple win. And why do I say that? Production of vegetables produces additional income for farmers and traders. It enhances the health and nutrition of consumers like you and me, while also reviving our stalled economy. But as I said in the past, we need to seize this opportunity and help us all grow vegetables and eat more vegetables, because I think when vegetables rise, people thrive.
So, Dilip, when you talked about the three different ways by which this is going to help the entire country or entire world, I think one more thing which can be added to it, it is adding value to the environment as well, because obviously this is going to make us more carbon neutral and achieving the footprints which we are looking at. Just a question in mind, Dilip. Are you also educating different farmers on this kind of things? Because as you said, the kind of wealth it is going to bring to the farmers on a small plot of land. This is really great.
Yeah, so I think I'm going back to my company, and what separates us from others is number one, Pankaj, we are a smallholder farmer centric business model. And a lot of what we do is knowledge transfer. So when you recall why we've been getting the awards on the Access to Seed Index, is we fundamentally believe that evidence based knowledge on profitable and sustainable farming practices go hand in hand with high quality seeds. And we basically contribute 1.25% of our revenues towards what we call as knowledge transfer. It's a separate arm, but you're absolutely right that just seeds alone will not cut it. It has to go with that knowledge transfer to enable the smallholder farmers to not only use high quality seeds, but modern farming practices so they can extract more value. But I wanted to also add, and I think the point was, when you look at the Indian seed industry, I would rate us as one of the more mature and vibrant seed industry in our country relative to our peer group. But we also, as an industry, must adapt, must integrate and align with technologies, because there is global competition. And as I said earlier, there is a lot of new startups in our agri value chain, and we need to be prepared to see how we can integrate further with our ecosystem. And I often say this because, as you said in the beginning, I come from pharma. So I often use that as a benchmark. Is I think India, or we, must aspire to become the seed hub of the world, similar to the role that we play today as the pharmacy of the world. Today, India is displaying its prowess by producing vaccines for the entire world.
True.
Now, if you contrast that, just 4 countries contribute 75% of the international seed trade, while India is just 1%. So I remain bullish that our industry can see and play a crucial role, not only in food production, but also increasing our smallholders farmers' income in the coming decades.
So Dilip, I can see your aspiration and passion while you speak all these things, and I'm sure our viewers are seeing it, in a much anticipated way, and they are also bullish about the future. When there are a lot of opportunities which you see, how do you see the growth prospects of the industry in the next 3 quarters in Asia? And what are the transformationals which is required to leverage the changing landscape?
Right. Now, Pankaj, if you look at it, agriculture was and still remains India's largest enterprise, right? Employing over half of our population. After years of augmenting production, of ensuring food security, India is finally embarking on a very different path with a pronounced focus on to cash in the era of surpluses, right? And to alleviate agrarian distress. Now, to do that effectively, we will need to deploy different kinds of solutions, right? It has to be rapid, it has to be sustainable and resource efficient. And to me, in order to make this particular agriculture and employment, I fundamentally believe we got to stop calling it agriculture and call it agribusiness. And that is, it needs to be intellectually satisfying and economically gratifying profession. We all hold, a responsibility for making that. And I'll put this into context. We recently conducted a webinar along with Vicky, and the title of the webinar was "A Day in the Life of a Vegetable Farmer." And what stood for me was 2 young, successful farmers. They actually spoke about the choices they made. One, Pankaj, had an MBA and a BSc in agriculture. And they had actually made the fundamental choice that rather than go and do the 9-to-5 corporate job, they said that I'm going to go back, and their forefathers and fathers were doing field crops, and they converted into vegetable crop. And when we were asking them the amount of money, it was pretty impressive in the way they did. Now, for us and the other countries that you talk about, the path to sustainable agriculture and food security, as well as in our country, agrarian prosperity, is and will remain in the hands of the educated youth. If you, each one of us, the young people, choose an agriculture, take up agriculture production and other related activities, and I think the narrative is agriculture is a farmer plowing the fields, but there is so much of an ecosystem that there are many opportunities. I think based on integration of science and social wisdom, and we all talk about our demographic dividend, I think it will become our greatest strength. There are new opportunities from drones to Internet of Things to different kinds, for example, e-commerce. So there are different ways of how young people can come in, and these are opportunities. For instance, thanks to COVID, we are now looking to hire a digital/e-commerce expert into our business, something that was relatively new. We find the need to bring in these kind of roles. We're also looking at specialized talents that is not just mere agriculture, but also engineering and management to come in and help us take our business to the next level.
So, Dilip, when you talked about that, this particular segment is also giving new people opportunity, and you are looking at new people into the business, what you're doing as of now. What are the job prospects would this growth and opportunity create?
So I go back to my earlier comment. I remain bullish on the sector. I think, as I've given you some statistics, the business continues to thrive. In fact, you read food and agriculture, you look at any of those statistics, we need more people because our population is growing, and we need to continue to extract value. But the smallholder farmers will take a disproportionate burden of feeding the world. So from that standpoint, I don't want to go ahead and say this is recession proof, but this is an industry that continues to, as long as people are there, they need to eat. And as long as people need to eat, there has to be someone producing it and ensuring that it reaches from the farm to the table. I would say that in addition to the classical roles, there are newer things as technology continues to pervade our industry, that you will need newer roles. So as I said, e-commerce is one. We're looking at genetic engineering, genetic experts. We're looking at package designers. We're looking at supply chain experts. We're looking at marketing, product managers, to really start bringing the idea of, a mix of biotechnology, a mix of marketing, and a mix of, what is called as a management expertise to join our business, because I think we need to keep lockstep with what's happening in the industry.
So a lot of job opportunities are there, both directly and indirectly, in the segment you're operating.
Yeah.
My last question, or my last curiosity, is about you as in person. How do we ensure that our desire to grow remains untouched even in the toughest circumstances? Because you have seen, what kind of year has been 2020, on the larger part of the world. So your narrative is going to shape hopes for millions of people.
Okay, so Pankaj, I stand before you as a poster child for someone who has made the switch from pharma to farming, right? I'd spent over 2.5 decades in pharma, and I decided to move to farming. So I stand before you saying, I hail from a farming family, and I had spent a lot of time in healthcare, and much of it outside of India. And frankly, was looking to return back to my roots. And my journey took a very, very inspiring turn when I was offered this opportunity to join East West Seed India as its managing director in 2018. And that's when I made the switch. To me, the opportunity to lead what I call as a purpose-driven organization has been a tremendous source of joy for me. I like to mobilize people around a common purpose, and I think that's what we're doing. And we have tried to reinforce the core belief that our founder, Simon Groot, had, and his philosophy was very simple: putting more money in the pockets of farmers through high quality vegetable seeds and knowledge. So that's really positioned us well. We have stayed true to spirit and true to our vision. And over the last 2 years, we have put ourselves on a very robust growth path, and we have positioned ourselves to better serve the millions of smallholder farmers. I believe that I'm fortunate to be in these times with the agri sector that's witnessing a tremendous change. I'm very happy I firmly believe also that technology will change. Innovation will become our cornerstone to drive not only productivity but also the stability that we seek in both what we do and in our world. But again, we have to make sure that all of these things come into play, particularly training our farmers, giving them access to the right inputs and knowledge. And I think it's a collective responsibility, Pankaj. The one thing that is very humbling is it's just not a private enterprise that can make a change. All stakeholders, governments, civil society, the industry, and the academia has to work side by side and has to implant this training that I talk about so that we can actually make this business, agriculture slash agribusiness, more profitable and sustainable. So I've taken the jump and I'm pretty happy with what I've done. And while healthcare taught me different things, I think I can all safely say that I transitioned from pharma to farming and I'm back home. So there you go.
So, Dilip, we really liked your narrative when you talked about that you want to make India the seed hub of the world, and the work which you are doing as well as the East-West seed in true spirit. It is about empowering farmers and helping them grow and serve the world up a little more better.
Right.
Thank you so much for your mind and heart talk, Dilip. It was really nice interacting with you in VYAPT Global Growth Series.
Thank you. Thank you so much.